Dia de los Muertos, otherwise known as the Day of the Dead, is deeply rooted in Aztec and other Mesoamerican traditions in Mexico. This was a celebration of life where altars and offerings were made to deceased ancestors. These rituals were meant to honor death as a natural part of the cycle of life. We continue to honor our departed loved ones and celebrate their stories that shaped our families and communities. Today, we will be connecting with your ancestors and tapping into the energetic field surrounding your family lineage. Even if you don't know who your ancestors are, they're still connected to you and watching over you. I think it's important to establish a dialogue with your ancestors. There may be hidden aspects of yourself in the family line that you were born into that influence the patterns in your life and the experiences that are drawn to you. Deepening our understanding and connection to our departed loved ones honors them and can offer us a lot of wisdom and guidance through the signs, visions, and dreams they send us. Family patterns and dynamics pass down through each generation, tethering us by an energetic thread that connects to each lifetime. Each of our ancestors faced conditions that shaped who they were down to the cellular level. The recent field of epigenetics shows how one person's life conditions, suffering, and trauma can alter the genetic information being passed down to their descendants. This concept touches on a perspective shared by many indigenous cultures when it comes to healing. They hold a broader view of the field that connects us all through each birth, rather than just solely looking at the modern present day. Ancestral healing can assist you on a psychological, emotional, physical, and spiritual level, helping you break generational curses. In other words, the stories and dramas that run in family systems that create chaos and self-sabotage, even down to the manifestation of certain diseases passed down by the family line. And by raising our awareness and releasing generational trauma, it opens us up to new energies, and we're able to access a new timeline. In turn, this heals our ancestors' past, because when we do this work, just like the shamans, we are stepping outside of ordinary reality. This is a space outside of time, where healing can be imprinted on past, present, and future timelines. It's important to note that our ancestors have also passed down many generational strengths. Their blessings and gifts flowed to us because of the courage it took to face those challenges. They made sacrifices and took responsibility to change a pattern. These were the cycle breakers of the family. So we'll also take a look at those gifts that they've passed on to you. As we explore this space, you are invited to take some time to reflect on the family patterns and beliefs that show up in your life, to honor and release them. Call in your ancestors. Reach down into your heart center and offer them your love. Thank them for the gifts they provided you with. Forgive those who made poor choices out of fear. Release the old stories and trauma loops that repeatedly show up in the family. You are no longer anchored to the past of these ancestral wounds. Set yourself free to take ownership of your story You are no longer the victim. It's time to reclaim your power. Your ancestors thank you for the commitment you have shown towards unlearning these patterns and carving a new path. They will support you in spirit should you choose to reach out and ask for help. And lastly, remember that you are also an ancestor for a future descendant. Whether or not you have children, you are making an impact for future generations to come. Hello, welcome, Pile 1. Thank you for being here today, and thank you to your ancestors for showing up. I was laughing because the 3 piles that I pulled, I wanted whatever card just showed up, rather than me just picking the prettiest ones. And this little dog came out, and I'm like, oh my god, I already feel it's an animal spirit. And then as I was preparing your pile, I was hearing this dog outside just kept barking, a yapper, like a little yappy dog. Like exactly the same size of like what I would imagine. Or like from the, when you can tell like it's a tiny little dog. There's a timbre to their voice. Anyways, I thought that was perfect confirmation that you're in the right place if this is your pile. So with that, the first thing I wanted to look at with these ancestor readings is to see what spirits step forward for you. And that's what we're going to start to look at. I pulled a few other cards as well. It's not going to just be the dog. But since we're here, let me start off with that first. So this one, I'm going to really butcher the name. It's Xoloitzcuintli. Look, that was the best I could do. Sorry. I'm sorry if I offended anyone. So the backstory with the Xolo, it's a type of breed common in Mexico. And the story with this, it's a Mexican hairless dog. And Xolos are revered as spirit guides. And if you've watched Disney's Coco, you met Dante, Miguel's loyal companion who guides him to and from the afterlife. So Xolos served as guides to help souls navigate the many obstacles of the underworld. And then in the first, it might recognize its former owner and help them cross the Savage River, blocking the path to the next level. In pre-Hispanic burials, many people were buried with the Xolo, made of obsidian or clay. That's funny. I was, right before the reading, I grabbed a stone and it was going to be this obsidian spear. So that's definitely present here. So with this being our first ancestor coming through, I love it. I love it so much. I love animals. So if you're a big animal lover, I wouldn't be surprised with this pile, especially if you've had a dog that passed away, a loyal companion you've had for years, whether this could be any point in your life journey, whether it be recent or a dog from early childhood or just like a family pet. I have a story with that too, with my family. I definitely see our family dog pop up quite a bit, and he actually protects me, and he was a little Maltese little dog. The dog yapped. He couldn't really do anything. He was not much of a protector, but I've had so many dreams with him, and I just had a lot of stories with that. But anyways, so they definitely are there protecting you, guiding you. I wouldn't be surprised. So let's say if you have any other pets, they might play with those other pets that you have too. So I think that's a very special connection to have. If you've never really had like a strong particular connection to a pet, maybe that just is an animal guide that is strong in your family line that kind of watches over, protects you guys. So let's see if we can get more information out of that too. But I love it. That's so cute. If it's not a dog, by the way, it could also be a cat, or whatever. Any pet. This is strongly just about animal connections, because they offer a different kind of unconditional love, and they actually are really great at shifting frequency. Like, if you're in a really bad mood or frustrated, irritable, lonely, pets have such a gift, an intuition to come up to their owners and nurture them, bring them kind of back to their baseline and neutralize any low vibrational energy that they're going through. I've definitely experienced that too, and it's no wonder we have emotional support system designed with pets, emotional support animals. Yeah, I feel like animals are such a needed companion in this life. They just bring so much nurturing and soothingness. So yeah, I feel like this animal guide for you definitely might have gotten you through some really tough times, and I get the feeling that they're still there a lot of the time, watching and being around you, even if you can't perceive them. So let me see. Okay, so that's from the animal guide here. And the other cards that I picked were the Nagual and then the campanas. You guys, I'm like I'm half Mexican, and so my family, we grew up with Mexican traditions, but it was also my dad's white, so so my mom's side's Mexican, my dad's white, and so I'm still working on my accent there, so bear with me. So moving on to the Nagual, it's funny because the Naguals are known for being a animal shapeshifter. So again, we're kind of seeing a nod to this connection to the animal kingdom and having strong animal guides. But this one feels very shamanic to me, feels very like a medicine man. Like there's a strong spirit guide for you guys. I wouldn't be surprised if some of you have a very strong psychic connection, very strong heightened intuition. You have a lot of synchronicities happen to you, a lot of signs get sent to you. You might have eyes, or maybe you're in the process of developing that, or just waking up to that. His presence feels very like he's making himself known to you. So there might have been some really intense experiences that may have woke this out of you. It kind of activated this part of your being, because he's almost like he's giving you the gift of being able to see between the veil, see between worlds, having the eyes to tap into other energies. And it's probably a big discovery for you to kind of go, maybe powerful dreams, or just serendipitous events that are lining up for you that you're like, oh, that's interesting. Oh, that's it. Pay attention to that. You are being led and guided through this. I feel like if you're open to it, you might be able to bring in gifts from other lifetimes to come online. In this lifetime, that might be kicking in and kicking up. You might be surprised how quickly you may be able to pick up on something. If you're interested, it's always an open invitation, but I see so much wisdom with the owls, the eyes. It's such an intensity. It's like, again, you have eyes to see the hidden realm, to see the things that other people may not be able to pick up. They're like, what are you talking about? And you have access to that. If you might have like strong animal communication. If animals are very drawn to you, that's very possible. Let's see. So it says, I'm going to read the book just a little bit. The Naguals are believed to have the ability to shapeshift into animals, heal, and perceive other dimensions. So, yeah, I feel like this is a part of you that's coming online. And I'm wondering if you got spooked of certain moments, maybe waking up out of dreams, or just had some, or seeing shadows, or seeing things that are like, what was that in the corner of your eye, like little gifts being activated. And some of you might be like full blown, like you're in it. You're like, yep, this is my path. I'm going down and exploring these other ancient gifts from these timelines. Maybe there is like these are ancient ancestors coming in and supporting you and kind of waking you through this process. So that's very cool. I'd love to learn more what's going on there. But let's move on to campanas. So this is about bell tolls, how it was used in rituals like church bells, the significance behind incorporating the sound of bells to honor a life, to honor a ritual, an initiation. If you're into maybe sound baths, I wouldn't be surprised, or just if music is very moving to you, maybe incorporate bells into clearing out a space if you are wanting to call in for extra protection, or just to have an anchor point into moving you into a different state, into a different awareness. So that way, maybe that can help you access this other state of consciousness that the Nagual kind of lives in. So, all right, let's see what else we've got. I have this deck that I want to use to kind of investigate if there's any particular ancestor that wants to come forward. Because these I feel more like some guides, but is there any like recent... Okay, marriage. Interesting. And then any... Interesting. I'll get one more. But what first I'm picking up on, for some of you, maybe this was a departed spouse. In that case, I'm so sorry. That's devastating. And for others, it could just be like a very let's see, family room. Perhaps both parents passed, and maybe you feel robbed, like something took that life from you. So it could be two energies coming through. And let's say this is these parents that are coming in, that are coming forward. So yeah, there's a feeling like something took them away from me, maybe prematurely, maybe early on, maybe it was expected, but it left you with an empty, because this family room, it's empty. It feels like I don't have a family anymore, or at least the people I grew up with. Maybe you kind of have to create your own, or you're having to outsource into a new family. But that's the first instinct. My other one, back to the people who may have lost a spouse, that could also have left that mark, that feeling of emptiness, that it's like something prematurely taking this away from me. I had a life with this person, and now it's all of a sudden gone, and kind of just left with their shadow of their spirit. So that's going to be the main energy kind of coming forward. Of course, this reading is going to just be anchored into all of your ancestors, but I did want to at first pick up on who this one strongest energy is coming in for somebody. Oh gosh, yeah, coffin. So definitely say if that's confirmation for somebody. I want to get from the archetypes, I want to see what this person was like, just to see if it's any more confirmation for you. I'm gonna move these up. So these cards that came out were the child card, child magical, the scribe, teacher, and then vampire. That one was interesting. I was like, why would that come through? This person feels very youthful. They have a very light-hearted energy. Heart is very pure. They kind of helped you see the magic in a lot of things. Maybe they're just a very playful energy, but also very wise, because there's a teacher energy and then the scribe with preserving knowledge. So maybe they dealt with, maybe that a strong connection in whether it be academics, legal work, something about writing. This with the scribe energy, it was like talks about preserving knowledge and information. It could also just be that they were a very good orator. They could and the way that they told stories, the way that they communicated was very strong. And they felt like an important figure in terms of teaching. Maybe some of them were teachers. Maybe they did. I'm also getting admin work, if there's any kind of like admin clerical work that they did. But this person, they would like crack people open, and they kind of allow them to see different point of views, different perspectives, and the way that they broke things down and deconstructed life. It was such a special way that they communicated. With this vampire energy, maybe something about their energy was either, I'm going to go two routes with this. Their energy could be kind of like a neutralizer in this space. They would make what would normally be like a cynical, depressing life. They kind of brought lightness and levity to it. They brought jokes and imagination into the space. And then that way it kind of like offset more dense, heavy energies that were going on in life. And so that's one way we really liked this person. Another way that I'm thinking, because I'm also noticing this thief card, this might be for just a small few. If this person was somebody who struggled a lot to deal with life and may have absorbed other people's energy, or kind of, if there was a kind of tendency for chronic complaining, and they kind of like, how do I say this? And this could just be one personality aspect, right? We're made of so many different parts. This is just a aspect of someone's nature. There's somebody that was like, yeah, they had a tendency to complain and just like, well, this is going on and that's going wrong. And so they would maybe like, for lack of a better word, leech off of whoever's energy was in their aura, and then kind of like, oh, wow, I feel better now that I just got all this out. But then you're left feeling like, okay, well, there goes my day. Jeez. So that's for whoever that resonates for. I just had to say that because it was just hanging over this thief card. And maybe it does get a little dark for somebody out there that's like, there was somebody in the family that was like, maybe not had the best intentions and took advantage a lot of others and manipulated. You know, you'll know if this is misses for you. If not, ignore that. It could just be that they brought very a lot of magic to the connections that they were in. So, okay, so that was who was mainly first coming forward. I'm going to clear this out. Give me one moment. Okay, so I pulled some cards already. That way you won't be here for another hour. So the question I wanted to focus on is, are there any generational wounds or karmic energy that's running in the family lineage that might be causing disturbances, interferences, and you can't quite figure out why certain things keep tripping up, or maybe a habit you're having a really hard time breaking? Where did this energy come from? Where did this originate? Why is it here? We're going to look at that. So first up, we had literally the card that talks all about breaking away from family patterns is the Devil card. It is in reverse. So my first instinct is that you are actively working on this, or that at least you're bringing a lot of awareness and insight in educating yourself out of this. This could have been a family thing. So bear in mind that everybody's going to be watching this at different sections in their life. Some of you may be really just tapping into this, might be hearing it for the first time or drawing awareness for the first time. Others of you will be further down that road and you're like, yeah, I've been working on it with my therapist, or I've just seen this in my family history. So I've learned over the years since a child to not act like that. So, anyways, I thought the artwork was kind of cool. Little mariachi puppet man controlling. Then we have the Knight of Swords, Five of Pentacles in reverse, and then King of Pentacles in reverse. I also have some clarifiers there, but before I pull those out, my first thought was a pattern of stubbornness was coming through. Maybe there was an energy in the family of always being stubborn, not listening, we're not budging, being kind of too rigid and holding on to things, being closed up and not letting people in, or not inviting other opinions to open us up and flourish. With the way he's holding his chest too, it's like keeping it close to his chest, his cards close, being calculative about it. It does feel like an masculine energy, so maybe on the masculine side, this is coming through. Take it as it resonates. Everybody has masculine and feminine energies. So if there was actually a woman, female in the family line, but she had, and you know exactly, she had a very strong, dominant, male, masculine energy to her. Could be about that. Or it could quite be about a male, whatever, you'll know your case. So I just wanted to open up the lines of communication to be any one of those. So I feel like this person, if there was a lot of financial struggle in the family, I feel like it kind of came from a lack of poverty consciousness. The way their mindset was towards finances. Maybe they were very like miser energy where they just hoarded everything and didn't want to spend, very frugal. Or maybe the choices that the investments that they made never really panned out, but the energy they were coming from when they were trying to pursue these goals, whether they had their own business, there was a family business, trying to be entrepreneurs, create their own legacy, something about it feels like they had struggled with this and couldn't get it to, whether it was thriving or not, it feels like there were a lot of moments of facing constant struggle, of things not panning out, meeting so many setback after setback. And let me go into the clarifiers for this. So, for our devil, we had the Chariot in reverse, Six of Swords, Nine of Wands. It was just 3 cards that fell out specifically for that. That's why I decided to keep it. With this, let me go to the rest of these. So with the Knight of Swords, we have 8 of Wands. For 5 of Pentacles, we have Queen of Wands, King of Swords. And then we have for the King of Pentacles in reverse, Page of Wands, and then the World card. Okay, I can't fit all this in the camera, so bear with me. All right, so there could have been addiction that runs in the family. I feel like that's such a blanket word, though, to say, because we all can have addictions to literally anything. And if your parents, came from the Great Depression or any pivotal, your grandparents, great-grandparents, obviously they're all going to face some kind of struggle at some point. So yeah, I'm sure drinking was a big thing, drugs were a big thing, or just other unhealthy habits. So that's kind of like a no-brainer, right? But what I'm seeing with this is like these habits, these limiting beliefs, because this is all about the belief structure going on here and having to work that energy out of your system, out of the family system. And I feel like there was a lot of stop go. This Chariot in reverse and this Nine of Wands feels like it was like constant burdens that was being created, constant like dynamics where because things weren't panning out the way we wanted to, it kind of forced us into survival mode where we're trying to find the next best thing. But with this Knight of Swords, Eight of Wands energy, I feel like it's a very anxious state. So if there's anxiety that really runs in the family, so just this very heightened arousal state that we're always in, where we catastrophize things or we are like, well, I'm going to lose this. It's always kind of centered around what am I going to lose? I got to find the next best thing. And it doesn't feel like the energy's at a peaceful place. It feels like I got to act fast because otherwise I'm going to lose it. And it wasn't the right energy to show up in. And I feel like that might be coming into your life where it's like learning how to balance this out, how to move into more smoother, calmer waters, not how to take it step by step when you are faced with those burdens, when life does get heavy. How do you move through that? How do you flow with life rather than creating more friction, more resistance, more rigidity, or just pushing forward? That's another thing I feel like if there are family members or people that you've seen where it was like very headstrong, constantly like willing to step on others, be manipulative in the process, and maybe lacking that awareness too. I'm seeing that present as well. I feel like status was important too. Maybe the way that they were perceived by the community. Maybe that's something that you've had to struggle with. But it feels with this King of Pentacles in reverse, feels like a misuse of that energy. And with this King of Swords clarifying this Pentacles in reverse too. So we have two kings in reverse, feeling like we're not in our power. We're either misusing this power where we demean other people, we criticize other people, and in order to kind of make us look like we're more in a favorable light. So if that critical opinion is very like rampant in the family, and you maybe had the eyes to see like, I feel like this is coming from an insecurity point, not from we're like they struggled with self-worth, especially when we see a lot of pentacles here. The other thing I was picking up on too, it could be physical health. So there may have been like physical health issues that felt like it was always causing issues with ourselves. I kind of noticing the sword going down the throat too. Let me know if you're picking up anything with that, because I feel like that's something worth noting about maybe like the throat chakra, maybe the way we communicated, because swords are all about communication too. So it's like having a sharp tongue could be something that goes on in the family. And with these wands energies, it's like this fiery ambition. So there is like fire, there's ambition, which is beautiful. That is a great energy to have. We have the Queen of Wands, Page of Wands, Eight of Wands, all these beautiful wands. So they're very fiery, firecracker kind of personalities. And maybe you have that too, embodying in you. And so it's just being shrouded by this other energy that needs to kind of get balanced out in order to bring it back out of the shadow aspects of it. With this page, I feel like there was this, again, with this business, it could have been like trying to get it off the ground, but it's maybe a naive approach. And this naivety kind of came with these personality aspects that were causing interferences. But you're meant to kind of close out this cycle here. Maybe healing your connection to what's abundant to you, and the mindset, the way you frame, the way you look at your finances, your health, if you always feel like it's always kind of in a woe is me, like nothing really works out, you just find yourself getting pulled by those energies. It could be just because of these lifetime after lifetimes of the family so focused on that. So it's like a big learning curve to try to pull yourself out and reverse this and train your nervous system to say, I trust life. I know I'm going to get through this. I don't need to step on anybody. I know I can act in a more balanced, healthy state. I pulled some oracle cards as well, too. So we had the owl, which is funny because we had your nagual here. So this talks about like having discernment, that you are incarnated into this family line because you have the ability to see through these masks, to see through the facade that we put up. It's these burdens, these inner turmoil that maybe the people in your family hadn't really taken the time to educate themselves or look at. I want to pull these out and then we'll go a little more detail about that. So the owl, the beloved in reverse, sacred space, inner journey, abundance, yep, and observer. So yeah, definitely hitting it on the nose there about you drawing awareness to these patterns, this lack of self-awareness that was operating in the family. I feel like there wasn't much connection to the heart space, so that is something you might be called to, is healing the heart chakra, healing any grievances, bitterness, jealousy, or and I think just taking the time to, because there's being a big call, like with sacred space, inner journey, in the way that the spiral's coming into a more internal experience. It's like you're kind of being coming out down, taking some downtime, set up your space to anchor in those energies that can help support you when you go through this process, to really look at where are your trigger points? Where do you get triggered, especially around the family? That'll be a big compass on what's coming through. And instead of getting upset about yourself or in denial, especially if there's a stubbornness in the family, it's possible there could be stubborn that comes into you. And maybe you know that. You're like, yeah, I do. Like, so, because what happens when we're not looking at those things and we're denying it? It's like, no, I'm not the one who needs to apologize, or I'm not the one who has to do this. And then you keep seeing blockages coming up in your life. There's a lesson there you're being invited to look at, saying, why isn't this chariot flowing for you? Why isn't this route opening up for you? Maybe take a second look, let the ego down, see where this is coming from. It's not, maybe it was just a condition that got passed down. So it's not really yours that you're carrying. It was maybe a parent figure or a grandparent figure, whoever watched over you, that had this sort of chip on their shoulder, or the way that they processed their reality. Just, I'm seeing with where was I going to show you? The back of the deck is the child. So it could have been a pattern picked up in childhood that just is kind of running in the subconscious, in the background program, that is like, hey, take a second look at this patterning that came from your youth. Maybe do some journaling, do some observance, and being really honest. The owl and the nagual, they are, there is no bullshit with them. They're like, we're going to look at this, you're going to face this, and you're going to be honest about it. This is how we release these energies, is like stepping into our full authenticity. I'm seeing again with this abundance card, what's abundant to you? Is it money? Is it health, friendships, the connections that we're nurturing? Because abundance can mean anything, right? So I think it's healing your timeline with abundance. So your connection to your finances Is there an energy where we think we can't move up into another level, another bracket of our socioeconomic bracket? Or are we hoarding our money? Are we hoarding our gifts, hoarding our connections are not to branch out? So really take that time to kind of look within to see what your compass is pointing to. And that way you can open up the channels again to bring more abundance into your life. If it is finances, maybe there's certain personality, or just making more confidence, putting yourself out there, or maybe getting more of an education to learn financial literacy that can open up new avenues of income for you. If it's friendships, it's their connections, having more community, it's putting yourself out there to do that. So what is being required of you to challenge the more rigid aspects of the self that's ready to evolve? Because maybe these other generations didn't have the courage to really look at that, because it is a lot of courage to take a look at the parts of our shadow, that the beliefs that we clung on to. And it seems like your time. I see with this back of the whole tarot deck was the 7 of Pentacles in reverse. It's like your family. I just see this, the skeleton. He's like waiting in the shadows in the distance. It's like your family line was like waiting for you to come in, or they see you as a potential opportunity who can heal this for the family line. And it's time. Behind it is the Star card, which is beautiful. It's a beautiful energy of hope, renewal, and with the water energies too. I think there's a lot of like trapped emotions in the heart center too that maybe need to release, and doing a ceremony to release those trapped emotions, so that way it kind of like unclogs the timeline there. So awesome. All right, cool. Let's see now, what are the ancestral gifts that were passed down to you? Okay, wow. From these different decks, you got 2 eagle cards, and the eagle, gosh, what a powerhouse there of leadership. If you've ever felt called, I wouldn't be surprised if you are in a upper management role, if you are a leader, a teacher, a guide for other people. You have these beautiful gifts from your ancestors. I mean, dealing with what they dealt with for their shadow energies, it doesn't surprise me that there were other gifts that came out of that. Because with you, and what I'm seeing with you coming into the line, the family line, you're a mirror. If you might be very polarizing sometimes to your family. Maybe the opinions that you hold, the reality checks that you bring in. Because with this moon energy too, the way it's illuminating it, it's like the shadow energy. So if you find yourself in conflict, or that way you're butting heads with family members, but it's more of the way your energy shows up to me is like you speak truth. In truth, as in you are authentic. You have the, again, your original guide was the Nagual. Is you have the ability to ask those difficult questions, confront the more difficult parts of yourself, go into the depths of yourself to explore these inner spaces. Because of that, you know how to access deep wisdom, deep truth. But that could be very aggravating to people, very agitating. They don't want to hear that, especially if it deals with something that's going to be shattering their ego. But I feel like with you, you are really good with shattering your own ego. You actually actively work on that. And because of that, you actually have a really good ability to connect with others and they feel able to let down their walls and be seen. It might take some friction at first, and you might have to, I kind of feel like you have a very strong throat chakra with this card about communication, Jupiter, wisdom, faith, but you have a way of communicating that allows to, you can get to the truth, because again, we have this honesty card, but it's another Jupiter card. So Jupiter, the planet, is a great planet to have when in terms of like expressing a more, what is it called? How do I want to communicate this? I need your communication skills. You're able to just expand on concepts and topics and really hard conversations, but present it in a very creative way, but it's still delivering truth. It's like the Trojan horse of information, of communication. You're like, I have a really difficult thing I'm about to talk about, but I present it in a certain way, in a certain tone, and perhaps in a more like sandwich method where it's very positive. We're going to address something that might be uncomfortable, but then we're going to end on a high note. And so something about your energy feels like people have that ability to connect to you, but you are triggering to them in the sense of like you mirror those parts that they don't want to look at. And it's very confronting, especially if they're not as skilled and educated in self-analysis, self-reflection. And you, at the back of the deck, you had, it's basically the 6th chakra about intuition, and the planet is Pluto. It says revelation. This is a very polarizing energy once again, but because you have the ability with the eagle to rise above, see from different vantage points, look at life from different angles, and then craft and construct your communication style to bring that in. It has a very empowering effect on people too. So they do leave feeling empowered. It just might be a little bruised to their ego. Like, oh man, they called it out. But in the end, I think they always come back and reflect on the conversations they've had with you because you brought a lot of awareness to them and actually open them up to hold themselves to a higher standard and they can carry that too. So that's the gift that maybe from other lifetimes and from your ancestors that you were able to offer that to your life, to others in your life. And this too, I think could have been, I kind of touched on this earlier. It may have been because you watched this growing up. And so maybe you were like, that's the opposite of what I want to do. I learned how this creates conflict, how if I don't say something a certain way, or if I have to walk on eggshells, or I have to be very careful with the way I or craft my response. It's like you tailored it and refined it because you picked up on those subtle energies, because you dealt with these family patterns that were challenging to you growing up. And because of that, I do see with partnership, merge resources. So I wouldn't be surprised, again, if you're in a leadership role or you're being called to lead, because you have that ability to connect with so many people. You also got these oracle cards, dancing with stones, movement, teamwork, partnership. So again, 2 cards, partnership, with the 2 eagle cards. So definitely, I feel like you're being invited and called to take on a more leader role, because that's what makes leaders. Somebody who can really discern information, knows how to strategize, but also how to bring people, merge people together, create community, because life is a web. We need to lead on each other and support each other. And I think you have that ability to do that. And that's a special gift. That's a special power to be that unifying force for others. You also had see the beauty. Yeah, this gratitude, this sacred is everywhere. With this eagle, it's like you're able to drop into, with the Nagual too, you're able to drop into the deeper, the heart of the matter. You're able to get there. And because you can connect to that space, you're offering, and you can communicate it, you're offering others that deep insight that maybe they couldn't really get to on their own. They couldn't arrive to that point, but you show them the way. Oh yeah, of course. I can't say that. The Kaliak. It's the elder, the teacher, the wise one. You may have been an ancestor in your family line, I wouldn't be surprised if you were an ancestor before and you came back to kind of help reset the timeline or bring back some old traditions. So if you felt drawn to the old ways of old wisdom, ancient wisdom, I wouldn't be surprised is all I'm going to say about that. But yeah, other than that, you are definitely a teacher for others. You're a great guide for others. And those are one of your gifts that a lot of your ancestors bestowed onto you, or maybe you coming back here to this lifetime that you're offering to others. Whether you downplay that or not, you are someone that people do listen to. And I think it's important to utilize that gift. Okay, well, I'm going to wrap it up there, but I hope you enjoyed that. I hope some parts connected with you. This may not be for everybody. I mean, it is a blanket general audience for this ancestor reading. Let me know if you want a more in-depth personal one. But yeah, I hope there was some value out of that. I hope it hit on certain points for you or connected to you and resonated. But that was all for our reading. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you once again to your ancestors, the people that surround you, your little animal spirit guides too. But I look forward to seeing you at the next one. Bye. Take care. Hi, welcome pile 2. So glad you're able to be here, you and your ancestors, and oh man, did I get a major party vibe from this group already. I felt like I was moving and dancing, and I just felt like I kept hearing a lot of like laughter in my mind's ear. I don't know how to describe that. But I just kept seeing a lot of faces, a lot of like cheerfulness, laughter, smiles, jokes, dancing, silliness, quirkiness. And the funny thing about your pile, so each pile got several cards because I'm a maximalist with my tarot readings, oracle readings. I use like all my cards. And so your cards, let me just show you first. When I kept getting your cards, I really wanted like different people's faces on there. There's some really cool looking cards out of this Dia de los Muertos deck. Okay, none of them show the pictures, but whatever. All of your cards had no person on it. It was all, let me just show you. So you got Comida, Calavera, and Veladora. Literally all just what you would bring to the party or to set the ambiance, the stage. So I feel like your ancestors, your family lineage is all about the food, the drinks, the vibes. They brought the vibes to the party, and I just loved it so much. It just felt very like I just felt very happy to be there. So I wouldn't be surprised if your families really put on a lot of parties or gatherings, cook lots of cooks. Oh my goodness, it's like all the food, the spread is amazing. If everybody does like a potluck style, I could see that going on for you guys. So with the food is such a connecting power because it's like breaking bread with other people, and we can unify communities. We can bring closeness with others when we invite them into our homes, or we go over to other people's homes and we eat when we cook with them. And it's such a beautiful thing. My family definitely had that prevalent, and it wasn't until I was older that I really saw the energetics behind it. You're just at the moment, you're just like, oh, sweet food. But later on, you're like, actually, this is a very powerful binding experience. And to also show your younger generations how to cook, especially in this day and age with Grubhub. I'm guilty of this. But I can cook if I want to. I can follow a recipe. But either way, I think your family like definitely focuses on that. And because of the quality of food must be great too. I feel like if you guys were really
traditional with their way of making things from scratch. Whether that be the case or not. But okay, I would want to read. I saw for the Calavera the first line. So after I'm like cracking up over the food one, and I pulled that one, I want to read you. There's the first line. It says, you've chosen this card so you might receive permission to fill your mind and body with as much sweetness as you can handle. Look at life as a kid in a candy store. Fill your thoughts with all the high vibe delicacies you can bear. So literally it's like this pile is all about not just indulgence, but indulgence of like enjoy life. Like even if, let's say, you had a lot of passed on loved ones, I wouldn't be surprised if their funerals or their wakes, their gatherings were either, this one's tricky because it's not like they're there to express it. They're there, but physically, if you know what I mean. But I feel like I wouldn't be surprised if your gatherings were like, oh, they wouldn't have wanted this to make it gloomy. They would have really wanted to celebrate and pull people together. And even though it's a heavy grieving day, this person was so full of life. They just wanted to share joy and celebrate life. So literally a celebration of life. And that's what Dia de los Muertos is all about, is making light of the heaviness, the darkness that we feel when we lose someone, because it is a hard experience, but it's those memories that carry us forward that stays in our hearts and anchors us to our family, even after their passing. And we can feel their presence when we carry on their rituals, their recipes that we saved and passed down to our other family members. So Calavera is all about, with these are talking about the skulls, and the whole point of this is like, you know, putting smiley faces and bright colors on something that's so grim that reminds us of our mortal coil, and it brings. I feel like there's a big creative. If your family was into crafting, they're just very creative. This just screams that to me. And then Veladora is these candles that they light for the ancestors to be called in. So I feel like the way that you light up, like your ancestors see you as a strong light, like you're carrying their light. And you might literally be that kind of person that lights up the room, whether you're like an extroverted person or not. I mean, it's hard not to with this kind of vibes, but if it's not that, it's also could be, you can even have this strong light within you that you carry, even if you're a quiet person. It's something in your presence that is such a glow. And I think being around these high vibrational family members who are just expansive, really brings it into your life as well. And it's something that I think they would love to see you carry forward, is bringing that light forward to others. So let's see. If there's any particular ancestor that wants to show up, or maybe a recently deceased, departed loved one that would like to come forward. Coffin, well, yeah, that confirmed. Yes, deceased. Community. Soil and labor. Okay, I'm gonna also, let's move you guys. I'm gonna pull also from the Archetypes deck. Oh, main female. Okay, definitely strong female presence. Community, we're seeing with the food, the community, the gathering. That's funny. Okay, yeah, there's totally. I could see grandparents here, but it doesn't have to be like a grandma or anything, but could be an aunt, could be someone, just who represents to you this someone, a significant female presence in your life, or who recently passed. It doesn't have to be recent, sorry. You could also just be whatever. Just whoever main female that you felt like they were a strong glue for the family. That could be someone they're talking about. They could have had a really challenging life as well. Whether it be like in a lower class bracket, socioeconomic bracket, or they just hardworking. They just spent lots of hours, but they were so dedicated to their family, their community, and they brought these traditions, and that's why people felt like this was a glue to the community. And so it was a big loss to have them, having their absence from something, from so much beauty that they brought. The way she's holding a rose too. There's like flowers too here. Okay, let's see what the Archetypes cards. Oh, a guide. Oh my gosh, yeah. Definitely. So definitely in this life, they are guiding you. That's confirmation right there. But I also see maybe when they were alive, they were such a great guide for you. Someone you can depend and lean on, maybe after the party when everything got quiet, or you could go into a room, into a space, and they'd hold space for you, and they had the wisdom and the knowledge to kind of guide you. Oh my gosh, again, the light. We were just talking about the light. Yeah, it's that light, and they want to pass that through to you. But let me see, I want to get some more cards. Sorry, it's chaotic. Stop. Okay. Look at this torch again, a light. This person is such a strong light. Liberator, freeing yourself from others, outmoded beliefs, negative thought patterns. Networker. Of course there were a networker. There was community. There was all this stuff. So yeah, they could have been, maybe they were in a position, a job, or they could have just been like some kind of volunteer. But they definitely had some made connections. They could have been people that you would go anywhere and they would just be just constantly talking to people, like grocery store, doing just everyday tasks. They just seem to know everybody. So I could see that. Mother. Okay, so some of you guys will be definitely a mother figure, a maternal-like figure, someone who represents to you a more warm, nurturing energy, especially with the way that this light kept coming in, the food. This all kind of ties in together. This is someone who really looked out for other people and for you, and the way that they showed love was really important, and the way that people got to feel that love through her presence was really special. Yeah, the unconditional love, a lot of patience, especially being a guide. It was like they're such a teacher, but the way that they saw things, the way that they looked at the world, and through their connections was really powerful. Owls could be a sign for you. I think they send you little letters. They leave you. I'm really drawn to these letters. So if you, I don't want to say this. Sometimes if you just run in, this happened to me one time where it was like, I wanted a sign and a postcard was on the floor, or someone was at the airport and like, oh, I think you dropped this. And it said, I missed you. And maybe this is just picking up on my mom, actually. But I'll give you my example. So my mom passed away this year, and she was a big cook, really big cook. And that was the way she bounded everybody together. And that's how the family is. The unit was connected through that. And she literally, I had asked for a sign when I was at the airport. I'll do this sometimes. I highly recommend it, by the way. It's really fun. It's a fun way to connect with those on the other side. And you'll see them. The second you engage with it, it's like you wait that day, that week, something's going to pop up when you least expect it. So anyways, this woman comes up to me and gives me a postcard. She's like, I think you dropped it. And on the postcard, it was this little seal giving the saddest little eyes. And it just said, I miss you. On the back of the postcard, it said something about like, I miss you. I loved all the time we spent together. I loved staying up late and cooking up good eats. And can't wait to see you. Take care. Something to that effect. But I'm like, dang, this is like spot on. Go mom with your signs. But I bring that up because that might be something for you to be on the lookout, that this person sends signs, messages to you, and you may use other people if you stumble into conversations just by happenstance, like serendipitous, and then somebody says a phrase, brings up something, a memory, a reference that you specifically have a reference with this figure. I highly encourage you to know that that is a sign that they're sending you, and to be kind of on the lookout that they are watching over you and helping you to, again, carrying this light as a liberator. It's like you have gifts too that they passed on to you, that they want you to continue being this light in the community. Wow, that's beautiful. Okay, awesome. Okay, next I want to look out if there's any generational wounds or karmic energies that are tampering or interfering with your life, that maybe was showing up in the family line. And it's maybe a pattern that you've witnessed, or maybe you're trying to figure out what it is exactly, but you keep saying like, why is nothing going right? Or why does this keep showing up? And how do I deal with this? And so we're going to take a look at those things. Okay, so I have the spread laid out already for you. So the main cards up here with the clarifiers down here. We have the Knight of Pentacles in reverse, 3 of Swords, 2 of Swords in reverse. Let me just make sure. Yeah. And the Knight of Cups in reverse. So I'm seeing here I wouldn't be surprised if there's a pattern of feeling disconnected to reality, maybe getting lost in dreaminess, having the seeds of potential, but nothing really getting off the ground. Maybe being really stuck in the past too, with good reason too. I think there's been a lot of hardships faced in this family patterning, because we see the Wheel of Fortune. When it's in the reverse, tells you a lot of misfortunes being thrown at you. Life just, the second you get back up, it's something else comes in, and I get back up, it's something else. So it's feeling defeatist. With the three of Swords, it's like there was so much pain, so much heartbreak, so much loss that we're grieving. And that could show up in a variety of ways. Whether this is we lost a person, we lost a connection, we lost a business. Maybe there's just the way that we react to life may be really hard. Our emotional reactivity. We feel things so deeply, and it's hard to process it. So it's like, how do I move through this? And when I kind of always feel like I keep getting hit after hit after hit. But the challenge with this is, instead of integrating that energy and moving through it as you're meant to and empowering it, it's like the family would constantly kind of get stuck in the past, stuck in the way things used to be and how things were. The Knight of Pentacles, it is a slow moving energy, but he's the slowest knight out of the deck. So when it's in reverse, it's like a complete standstill. There is no movement happening. The Six of Cups is a card about memories, reflecting on memories and maybe past times. So I really feel like there wasn't much progress being made. It's like we kept getting stuck in the same trauma loops, the same cycle of thoughts, same cycle of pain. And in some ways, it kept creating more of that energy or inviting it. Or I wouldn't say, because sometimes we do get thrown life experiences that are just really out of our control. And it is hard. It's hard to move through it. But there's a tendency to stay stuck there instead of moving through it. And maybe it's because there wasn't enough resources, educational resources, or we just weren't really shown how to live the other way. Because the way these Knight of Cups and the Queen of Cups are in reversed, it kind of feels like our intuition's getting blocked in how to move through, how to connect to the heart space, how to connect to our soul. And with the Queen of Cups makes me think too, is there a tendency to overly get caught up in other people's emotional responses? Do we get into codependent relationships? Do you give too much of yourself to situations only to get hurt, not to get received? There's an imbalance to this. Or are we just so disconnected from our heart space, from feeling connected to life? Maybe we numbed ourselves and just we're like, you know what? Instead, I don't want to feel anything, so I'm going to block out. But what happens is we block out the good stuff too. We block out the joy, the fulfillment, the friendships, our openness to have new experiences. So this energy feels very blocked. Like there's a lot of emotional energy that needs to get released, and it might be a lot of trapped emotions there. This sword, okay, so with this energy coming through the Two of Swords in reverse, I like how it's the image of scissors. Like you are meant to cut through this. And there's this karmic pattern, the soul contract that you are meant to sever those energetic ties. So in that way you can kind of get out of this stuck dense energy and have it work through you, because it may have been following you. You may have like wake up and you're like, why am I so irritable or in these moods, or you feel like when things happen to you, why do you have this strong emotional reaction? Or if it's not a reaction, maybe you get into a freeze state and you're like, I don't really feel anything because I've numbed myself. I don't even know how to drop into my body anymore. So it's like you learning the tools to cut this, because 10 of Pentacles, this is literally a card about our connection to our family lines. You can even see this little village here, our community there. So it's like you having to learn how to disconnect from that energy. How to, I don't even want to use the word disconnect because that was an issue there. It's more like, how do I integrate this, but cut cords with what I don't need to, what's not serving me anymore. Then we see with this butterfly / moth, I can't really tell. It's like this metamorphosis. That's literally the transformation that you are invited to undergo with this, is to move away from the pain, heal your heart space, heal the pain that your family's been going through. Because I can feel like it can probably manifest in a lot of different ways, or experiences that get attracted into us. And maybe drawing things out in the stories, the way we frame this story, maybe framed a certain way because of the way it's been conditioned into us. And so there's this like severing ties with and recreating your story. And then I want to see a little more about this attachment, this wound. Okay, this one really wants to come out. Let's see, commitment. You are ready to build a strong foundation and put down roots. There's an energy of stability and being clear on what you want. Ensure that both parties are free of commitment fears and move forward with clear intention and communication. It's a beautiful time to work together towards a happy future. Commitment to yourself and the relationship will bring lovely rewards. By the way, this is a relationship deck, but I really liked the topics, like the way they would address issues. So I'm like, you know what? This can go into any connection, literally all of our connections with anyone. So let's just get one more. equal partnership. The pairing is based on equal effort where both parties give and receive freely. Each person has balance within themselves, which lends to teamwork and cooperation. In this partnership, each person is able to take accountability for their actions. So the way that I'm seeing this is, I feel like the way we were showing up, it's like, again, with this heart energy, it's this Queen of Cups. When she's upright, she's so attuned to her heart, but she also knows when she's not receiving, when she's not getting back in return what she's giving out. It's not giving from a place of, well, I did this for you, you should do this for me. And then we hurt ourselves when people don't show up. There's like, she gives with no expectation, but she also can read energy. Probably hear my cat. And so maybe we kind of end up breaking our own hearts. Maybe there's a way, the way that we, how we show up to our connections is playing a role in the way that we end up hurting ourselves even more. And taking accountability, because that can be the hard part. We can get so focused on what other people are doing or not doing that we almost forget to factor ourselves into that equation. We're like, I give so much and I get this, and what do I get in return? Or I just always end up losing this. It's like, so where's the lesson in that? Do you decide to, well, you could decide to pull back your energy. You could pull back and let that other person or these other connections show you how to meet your needs and rise to the occasion? Or do you pull back your energy, become bitter, woe is me, Eeyore energy, nobody loves me, nobody wants me? Like, you can get into that funk and stay there, and you just keep hurting yourself more and more when that's not the truth at all. So it's taking accountability for the narrative, the story that we're creating, how committed we are to evolving from that. And I think that shows other people respect when you show yourself that self-respect too. Putting in those boundaries, because it's literally a roadmap for others to see how to treat you. And it's not coming from a place of like a tyrant, like, this is how I need to be shown. You can do it in a loving way and just say, hey, no, that doesn't work for me. This is what I need, X, Y, and Z. And so, this is funny, course correction. In this situation, there's a severe power imbalance. Someone is being manipulated or controlled due to an overactive ego. Someone stuck in fear is dragging another party down or projecting their fear. It may be time to take stock of your lessons and leave an unhealthy situation. So yeah, pay attention if that fear is projecting into your story and the way that you carry that into your dynamics, into your connections with friends, coworkers, family, lovers. I feel like that's been a pattern in the family. And so it's things might be coming up to the surface for you to kind of look at that and say like, ooh, am I carrying that? Just a little bit, maybe. And you'll be the best judge of character. Maybe that has been something in the past. That was a past version of you and you've worked through a lot of that. So if not, maybe just take stock of that. Let's get some oracle cards to kind of look into some guidance for this. Okay, so the cards I pulled for you were, let's see, we got Higher Power, Arrow, Coyote, and then we have New Beginnings, Reunion of Souls, Past, Present, and Future, Ascension. So it's interesting. I'll try not to do the glare. Yeah, you definitely came back into this life to like work through some things, because I feel like this reunion of souls, you might have had, whether it's it's probably in this family. A lot of family systems, take it with a grain of salt. Everyone's belief systems are different, so I don't want to project mine into yours. But oftentimes what I hear is like other families will reincarnate together and have experiences, and they may change up their roles a bit. So this reunion of souls feels like maybe you came back into this life to play out these dynamics that have been carried over from several lifetimes. And if you don't want to take that as the explanation, you could also say that this dynamic has shown up so many lifetimes within your other generation of families, past, present, and future. So it's like stacking all of those experiences and taking a look of like, okay, what's the common denominator? What's the thread in all of this? And carving out that new path with this new beginnings. It's like you're being shown a different way. You're being guided. The fact that you're even here asking these questions, looking into this is like you're already started the process of finding an alternative answer to these repeated patterns. And with Ascension, it feels like you're in that process. You're in the process of ascending. When we say Ascension, it's not just like some woo-woo term. It's about being self-aware, bringing awareness to our autopilot, what we do when we're on autopilot, our mannerisms, when we stay stuck. It's growing out of that. It brings a higher consciousness. And with higher power, it's like this, your higher self is helping you through this, because these were challenges that needed to kind of get resolved and needed to close the loop. So with this Coyote card, it's like the trickster card too. So let's say if there were a lot of detours and disappointments that were coming up, there are a lot of tests of faith were coming up for you, and you're like, what the heck? Why does this keep happening? Or why is this going on? It's meant to kind of cause friction and trigger you. And so with the Coyote card, okay, I want to read the book just a little bit because it talks about it being the sacred trickster. When things don't go as planned, and says the Coyote brings the energy of divine deception to set you free from the shackles of that which doesn't serve you. Sometimes it appears that you'll get everything you want, only to find out that Coyote brings you the opposite of what you hoped for. The lessons offered by Coyote may at first appear confusing, but they are most sacred and always for your highest good. And so it's interesting with the detours. With the arrow card, it's like the compass showing you where you need to go. And you got the course correction card here. So, yeah, you're definitely, I wouldn't fret too much if you are being put in situations. It's like a pressure cooker, but it's meant really use that as the opportunity to sever ties with this old karmic energy that keeps showing up in your life, and use it to think differently, to invite newer energies, to embody these and integrate these lessons, because I felt like your ancestors couldn't really get that, and it was like you coming in and now getting the tools and resources to learn how to do that for yourself is helping them out. Lastly, this card came out with, I forgive myself for forcing my desire to control my experience instead of trusting in life's natural unfolding. I choose to believe that life is paving my path with a divine intelligence, not yet accessible to me, and that in time the purpose of it all will be known. So I feel like this energy can also trigger a response of feeling, I have to control this. I have to control the outcome, and there may be a lot of lack of trust in life, granted, because there were a lot of really crappy experiences. So totally fine. I wouldn't blame you for it. I saw this one too on the back of the deck. I forgive myself for holding on to old narratives in an attempt to avoid uncomfortable emotions again in the future. I choose to believe that I am safe and I no longer need to act on old stories my ego has created in order to protect me. So that may have been a big lesson for you. Again, everyone's on a different spectrum. Some of you have already moved through a lot of this. Others,
you're like in the thick of it. So, yeah, you came into this life to combat this, to be thrown off, what's the word? Thrown off the trail, or I can't think of the it is late. I need to go to bed. Anyways, you're doing great. You are learning. You're in the process of learning this and getting out of these, cutting the threads to these old energies and moving out of that. So I think that's one thing that your guides would like to commend you for, is that they see that work that you're doing. And they just wanted to give you a little more perspective of like where this was coming from, and that you are on the right track with this arrow card, and to give you like, hey, yeah, I know you kind of got thrown a lot of crap your way, but that was kind of like the divine intelligence behind it, was like to get this part of you to settle, because it was always going to follow you around. If you didn't have these challenges, you wouldn't have had learned to face it, to rise up out of it, to learn that you can tap into these abilities that you have. And with that, I want to lastly just look at what are your spiritual gifts? What are the gifts that your ancestors passed down to you, that you can use and really hone in on in this life? Wow, you are intense. Your family line is intense. First of all, you are extremely protected, whether or not you believe that or not, especially with the crap that's been thrown at you. It was like, what's the phrase? It's kind of like, you can't handle, you wouldn't be, I'm the queen of forgetting phrases. Basically, the sentiment is like, you wouldn't have been dealt that if you weren't the kind of person that can handle it. And it was like this wolf. Look how intense these eyes are. And the eyes in this destroyer card with the wolf pathfinder. It says, release your past, start a new journey. You are a teacher and help others find their way. There will be challenges, but your soul is strong. Perseverance is your secret power. You have a love that endures. Yeah, there's like again, the light that you carry in your family and that your family's carried. It's like this torch that it's a guide for others. It's a lighthouse for others. It's a hard life. Like I am sorry that's something that had weighed heavy on you, but it's activated so many gifts out of this, or that your family has passed through you. And again, the family card at the beginning, I was like saying, like, God, you have such a strong family or community. The wolf, they're like a wolf pack, literally. Even after death, it's like they're your wolf pack. With this starseed card, it's interesting. I feel like maybe if you've ever felt out of place, like you don't really quite belong here. Maybe you carry this feeling of like, I feel like I'm from another planet. Or sometimes if you've ever made that joke, I wouldn't be surprised, to be honest, if you've had other lifetimes on other planets. But I feel like you came here and incarnated here because you are the destroyer. I am thinking of, now I am become death, the destroyer of worlds. Like, you're meant to create something entirely new. And so it's like the kind of person that steps into that role, that powerful role, has to have to face, it's like go through all these trial by fire situations to kind of get them ready, prepared. This energy feels to me, that first half that we've talked about with the wounded energy, I feel like you've overcome a lot of that already, or at least this is showing you how much you are about to overcome with this. And that was with this protection card, it was like that was the training ground for you to step into this badassery, like to activate. And it did seem like you're learning how to meet those basic needs within yourself. To learning to trust life is literally the whole root chakra healing right there, is and the emotional balance. So this is the, let's see, second chakra, so sacral chakra, your creativity. This is the energy of Mars, though. The energy of like going out there, being an action oriented. But you're doing it from a balanced place. Oh, that Queen of Cups that was in reverse with the Knight of Cups.
It's like bringing that into balance now and getting your own needs met. That was an important part of this. Self-acceptance. Yeah, this self-love, self-nurturing. Yeah, because you're a teacher for sure. Or at least the guides, your family, were a line of teachers, of sages, of pathfinders. They've had to go through some intense, like, survival modes. And that's probably why they relied on their community so much and learned to be in their community. Because it was important to lean on each other. But yeah, I feel like you are a energy that's meant to disrupt or like cause chaos. I want to bring out these cards because this really talks about the experiences that you might have had to deal with. Obstacle, find another road, flexibility, change. So again, kind of bringing us back to getting thrown off your path and then having to figure out and go inside yourself and bring, in order to get clear on that inner compass, this is why you had to bring out this inner emotional balance. That way you can have a clear connection to the divine and how to get through these challenges and listen to these other ancestors. You might have star ancestors too, not just from this earthly plane, but from other, we're talking about other dimensions, other planets. That's really cool. Weather the storms, let it change you, embrace the unexpected. Yeah, look at all of this like intensity. It was like this concentrated energy just being thrown at you and you being in the eye of the storm, the destroyer, conquering that. The Stone of Destiny. It's like King Arthur and the Excalibur. Let's see, life path, ambition, passion. If you found your passion or your life path through these challenges, I feel like that was meant to bring you closer to those gifts, to understand the power that you yield. And this is a special kind of power because you have to be a right frequency match to carry this sword, to carry these gifts forward. The light, the torchbearer, that you are, the liberator, the one who disrupts systems, whether it just be on a smaller scale in a business community or on a larger global scale. It feels like you're disrupting the old ways of doing things and you're coming in to clear it out. It's like a big purging energy. Let's clean the slate so we can build on a more healthy, grounded foundation. And these are the soul gifts your ancestors brought with you. And that you're learning in this life to master, to be the master of your reality and to bring a better future too. God, it's like so interesting how much, every image, it's like this light beam, these other godly forces just coming in to support you. And that's why this protection card is like, yeah, even though you went through all these challenges, you were being watched over through it and making sure that you didn't steer too off course. But you were bringing back to that way you knew the limits of the deepest layers of yourself because you're going to bring that forward with your future, with your passion, where you're meant to be going in this life. And I think that's important to keep in mind that it's playing a role in the work that you're going to be doing, in how you're going to be influencing other people in your community. So I think they're kind of nudging you to step over, to open yourself to community. Because I feel like you're a force that is needed in these spaces because you bring such a unique energy. You're encoded with such a unique frequency that these people, that it kind of like just activates people when they're near you. So, yeah, wow, that's beautiful. Love that for you. Well, I'm excited for your future. Sorry I had to go through a lot of shit, but no, it looks like you are headed somewhere really, I think you're just going to love it. You love your life, love what you're doing. And that's such a gift we can offer our future generations. So anyways, that is all I have for you today. I hope you enjoyed that. I hope that resonated with some of you. Thank you to your ancestors for being here to allow me to channel these messages for you. And I will see you next time. Bye. Take care.
Hi, Pile 3. Welcome to your reading. First, I want to thank you and your ancestors for being here today. Now, it's funny with this pile, it kept wanting to come into the other readings. Like, I kept seeing the image, the face. I kept feeling this had a particular feeling to me. And it almost like it was wanting to come through with urgency. So it kept wanting to kind of override the other readings, which is funny. I don't think I've had that experience yet before. So, but of course, I'm not surprised with the Angel of Death over here, Santa Muerte. This is the common figure you'll see in Dia de los Muertos. And so this is a very strong, powerful feminine deity in Mexican culture. So when people work with her, you got to be prepared. She can be of great assistance, but you kind of like have to, in a sense, really uphold your word, uphold your values, your integrity if you want her help, her assistance in your life. So she don't mess around is basically what this guide is. So in connection to your guidance, your ancestors, now when I proceed with this reading, right now what I'm going to be talking about, it could be something that you're going to be going through, that you are going through, and you're in the depths of, or I might just be picking up on a stream of energy that you've dealt with in the past. Everyone's in different cases, and with any kind of tarot oracle readings, it can tap into a particular energy, that stream of experience that you've dealt with that kind of left a mark in your life. It doesn't necessarily mean it has to be like right now, right in this moment. So I just wanted to give that disclaimer before going into this, because her energy is very intense. She will clear things out. My first word that came through was Tower moment. Now, if you're familiar with the tarot, the Tower card is all about your whole life being uprooted and everything that you thought, was your comfort zone, your status quo, it gets completely wiped clean. It can be completely debilitating and really difficult to move through that. So anyways, that's kind of her energy. Is she's somebody, she brings justice. Justice will be served with her kind of energy, and she will break everything down in your life, wipe the slate clean in order for you to build from a more authentic place, like what your soul wanted to build from, not what your ego wanted, not what your people-pleasing habits or your or just your habits in general, the life that it created when you were in autopilot, when it's not, and it's disconnected from our soul. So she comes in. You might have had a dark night of the soul, or going through a dark night of the soul. So with that, it's kind of like our spirits are waking up from this deep slumber of like, I'm not okay. I need to be real and honest about where I'm at. So there is the feeling I get with this energy is like maybe if you've gone through a lot of resistance to changing and flowing with life, because maybe it was like these upheavals would change everything. And it's just for the ego that scares, it gets scared, right? It wants to contract, wants to control. My life is fine. It doesn't need to change, but there's always she's the great revealer. She will reveal to you how you weren't living your life to the fullest. She releases any attachments that you might have. And really it's about, she will open your heart, like crack it open when you go through intense periods of deep grief, deep pain. If you're dealing with a significant loss, and that could be on any scale, really, what that means to you, you'll get to know the depths of love because of the ugliness, the gut-wrenching parts of it. It's like the shadowy parts that a lot of us are afraid to face. But the thing about that is
she stretches your emotional capacity. Your emotional intelligence, your emotional awareness really can develop if you work with that. If you work with that energy, not just her, but she just represents an archetype in our lives that like you can tap into and you can really learn to lean into. And that's sort of the gift of like having a spiritual practice in place, because when those moments come up and you're not prepared, a lot of times we're not prepared, having something, a system to lean on, a routine to lean on to help us through this is imperative sometimes, at least when you're trying to stay above the water there. The other cards I received for this were Camino, and which is interesting. We see this pathway lighting up, a door opening. It's kind of like she's revealing a new path, a new door that's ready. Like, I feel like there's this particular timing with this, like this door just cracking open for you and going down another path. Maybe that's not the one that you thought you were going to be going down, and you're kind of like taken back by it. And that may be where the resistance comes in, where we really create more stubbornness to go to the flow of what life wants for us, or what our soul wants us to do. But instead, it's like we keep trying to go back to the other closed door, but it's closed for a reason. And that can be the tension that it creates, is when we're not surrendering to these humbling moments. The other one, which is interesting, given the intensity of this energy already, is Llorona. And if you're not familiar in like Mexican folklore, she's a woman who was so distraught. She her lover betrayed her, and she, in her rage, her blind rage, what is it? I think you have to be careful with what words I use. Okay, she unalived her children, in a lake. Was it a lake? Anyways, they drowned. She drowned them, and afterwards, when she kind of snapped out of it, she was like racked with so much guilt eating away at her, and then she obviously created more rage in herself. So she ended up taking on this monster figure in these folklore of like this killing rampage and being kind of like demonized. And anyways, she has a whole myth about her. It'd be interesting to go look into that. Also a beautiful song about her. So with her energy interacting here with the Angel of Death, what I'm getting is you're being guided to truly face yourself, open that door. So that could be even a door within your own subconscious mind that maybe has been locked away from you for a while, and it was like, I don't want to look at it, I don't want to touch it, I want to touch it with a 10-foot pole over here, Mr. Grinch. And I feel like there's a level of readiness, preparedness, and having a high level guide like this as a guide that will support you while, and kind of basically like hold your hand through that process while you're facing your darkness. And this is where we access like deep grief, deep like despair, the rage, the rawness of our emotions live here. You can see, I think, like the water, I think that's like steam. It looks like kind of like a volcano a little bit. So this eruption, and it's like, okay, how she comes in and is like, okay, how true were you living your life to who you were, to being authentic? Were you putting on masks? Were you just putting yourself last? Did you kind of live in a state of denial? So she really just blows the door right open and says, we're going to look at this. We're going to look at all the things. We're going to look at what betrayal we've went through, despair, how, and I think too, with this energy, I think this is very common with maybe in your ancestry line that they haven't wanting to face this pain. And so if it's coming up for you, it's like finally somebody in this family can like hopefully deal with it, because none of us did, and we just kept passing it on and passing it on, this kind of energy of not dealing with this pain. And it could be just this fear of losing ourselves. We want to stay in control and we are barely holding it together. But she comes in as like, it's time to break down. It's time to know who you, I think in that process of having the breakdown is when you're going to have the breakthroughs. And that way it can really just purify and purge out this kind of toxic energy that's just been stagnating in your field, in your family's energy field. So, Llorona reminds us to swim across the lake of our grief and feel the rawness and the power behind forgiveness, self-forgiveness too, because I feel like there's a lot of I should have done this better, I should have done that better, if I only did this, all the what ifs, the shoulds. It can really create a lot of torment, internal torment. So she's here to do some really big soul growth, soul work for you right now, or with your family line at least. So let's take a look. I want to grab some cards to see if there's any particular spirit, ancestor that wants to step forward for you. And then we'll go into the broader messages of just things that we want to look at for your family lineage. We have message of concern, toil and labor. Okay, I feel like that one wants to come out too. A child, interesting. Oh, how weird. Okay, I was picking up child too. I mean, obviously she had lost her child, but like I was like thinking out of this deck, I'm like, oh, I wonder if the child card would come out, and like sure enough, imprisonment. There could have been a difficult family member. Either they were in prison, they've gone through prison, they had a really rough life. And maybe they had their child taken away from them. At least this person that I'm picking up on, they may have done some things, deep things that they really regretted. That, that their soul self, the spirit self, has the awareness to look at those things and say, like, you know what, I would have done things so much differently if I knew what I knew. But, in my human self, my human avatar at the time with my ego, I made some really poor choices. And, it impacted the family. It impacted maybe the child, the way it impacted this child. This could be you. Or just maybe somebody, whatever this means to you. I feel like this child energy had to face and endure a lot of adversity early on, because of some choices either these figures around them in the family got them into. A toil and labor, message of concern. Yeah, like getting some devastating news. I say thief. So yeah, just not their best self. So this person, I feel like, has a lot of like regret over the way they made decisions in their life. But I'm also saying is the way that they imprisoned themselves too. Maybe they dealt with a lot of internal difficulties and it was really hard. It was kind of like locked away, and it was really hard even for the child to kind of see if to like even connect, to relate to this person, because it was like a part of them was always like locked away. Again, I feel like this door, there's like a connection there with this door. Something's hidden, something's Like, I don't want to face this. It's kind of just locked ourselves away. Thief. Change. Yeah, let's get some more cards on this to see. I'm gonna shuffle these so that way we can do reversals, just because this feels like somebody who's didn't have an easy life, didn't make it easy, but I feel like to hurt people at the end of the day. So let's find out a little more about this. Obviously, this isn't going to apply to everybody. I really set the intention that this is whoever comes to these readings, what message is most needed for somebody to hear. So if it's not resonating for you, it's difficult. Let me know. Hit me up if you want a more personalized one or customized one. I need to like start opening that up a bit more. Okay, so let's see a little bit more with these archetypes. Oh, one wants to come out. So we have poet, came in reverse, turns a lyric gift to negative or destructive effect. Networker, enhances unity through sharing of information. Oh, sharing of information. Engenders social awareness and empathy. Maybe they misused their gifts. Maybe they were really like creative person, but the way that they crafted. Like, no, selfless devotion, single. That's interesting. They may have had like good, maybe you saw that. Maybe there's something with this person that is, they were devoted to, so it's a dynamic energy where it feels like there were parts of them that were like, they felt were unlovable, but then there's other parts of them that was a really good person. Like they were devoted. They had a good side to them. They cared. I think they did things. Maybe it was kind of like getting mixed up in, we make poor choices, but it was like out of love. It was out of fear, but it's a tricky energy where it's like maybe we did it because we wanted. Oops, hold on 1 second. I dropped a card. Priest. Interesting. Spiritual communication sources. This person feels like it was they might have been very religious. But maybe they weren't. Ooh, this is tricky. So it's like, why are we getting imprisonment thief? Was there embezzlement? Maybe there was something double-sided to this person, too. Like, they did have connection to spirit, to a religious community. But maybe there was like a hidden part of themselves that just wasn't really revealed to people. This card was on the bottom and it was in reverse. It says betrayal by misusing confidences, loss of personal identity. Yeah, so I feel like they could have had some manipulative tendencies, but it was masked because it's like, you ever met those people like, oh, I'm a good person because I go to church every Sunday or something, but then they do like the most, they talk behind everybody's back, criticize everybody, they just do all these like really terrible things too, like, so it could be a mixed energy sort of like that. I'm going to move on. I don't want to spend too much time here. It was just in case it was going to resonate with somebody of what's going on. Let me know if any of that makes sense. Maybe, I don't know who be coming through these readings. All right, we're gonna look at what generational wounds and karmic energy is running in the family lineage that's causing disturbances, interferences, like limiting beliefs and patterns that keep drawing these like certain repeated patterns and experiences in their lives. So we're going to take a look at that. And this is just whatever that pattern is for the family. Okay, I'm going to shuffle these off camera so that way I don't end up dragging this reading a little too long. So give me 1 second. Okay, so we have the Star, 5 of Wands, 9 of Pentacles, and the 4 of Cups. And then these are the bottom clarifiers to help me understand what was going on behind these energies. This one was a little bit tricky. I feel like starting off with this section, with the Star card clarified with the 8 of Pentacles, it's telling me about how there's a sense of being drawn to a purpose, to a calling, to hope. We're holding on a hope on a situation, and we're with the 8 of Pentacles, it's like all about self-mastery, about building from I think that's kind of the inspiration to move forward. Then I see with this 5 of Wands, the way he has a match, it's like striking a match, but there's a reversed swords energy. I feel like this is, it's like he's inspired. There's this inspired energy. I say he just off of the card, but obviously whatever gender applies here. And I'm just saying this is a pattern in the family or something that's followed you guys. And it could be misdirected enthusiasm, very clouded judgment. And so it's a little tricky moving with this because it's coming from pure intentions. It's coming from a pureness of like a desire to work through something, work on something, a project, a new goal, a new avenue that we want to explore and develop. But something feels like we're not very clear on what those goals are. It's like your mind's bursting with ideas, but then these next set of cards, it feels like there's this sense of being overwhelmed by these choices or the choices that have to be made and having to be very like strategic and clear about what we want out of this. With the 7 of Cups in reverse, and then I'm seeing, notice the 5 of Cups. 5 of Cups is usually about disappointment, things not going the way we planned. And look at this mental labyrinth. It's like a lot more nod to confusion, this confusion energy, not really knowing where to go, where to look. Maybe a certain path, maybe that's where it feels too daunting. Because like maybe there's all these different options out there and we're like, well, I don't know which one to take. And I'm kind of just running in circles. It's like this labyrinth that we get caught in. And I'm seeing with this 9 of Pentacles, it's like you're meant to, and I feel like you've been called to be more financially independent, self-sufficient, finding that independence within yourself, not being codependent. And that energy has a role in this, or that desire to step more into that energy. However, there's like, again, there's this mismatch because over here we have these cards of the 4 of Cups, 4 of Swords, especially with the coffin, putting the nail in the coffin, it feels like we're not taking advantage of opportunities that appear to us. And there is a call to really reflect, going within, to really sort through those energies because it's like it's causing a standstill. It's causing delays in the energy. It blocks the movement of energy of where we need to be going. I see with this 8 of Cups in reverse too, it's like, are we putting off making decisions of where we know we need to go, but it also may mean that we got to make some difficult decisions about that. And we're trying to stay in a situation that's not meant for us. And it's like, do I make this work? Well, maybe I just haven't tried this. So there's a lot of like hope, but it's like naive hope. And it's causing a lot of conflict, like a lot of internal conflict and tension too, with this kind of energy that keeps following. And so it's like ruminating about this and then never really coming to a final decision to just move, to get out of this. It's like, I'm just going to stay in this apathy, to the point where, again, this coffin energy, it's like, it's dead energy. It's just, there's no more we can gain out of this, but we're not really moving out of it. We're not making those decisions, responsibilities, taking responsibility of like getting out of this. It's either getting out of this or just making a better life for yourself too. Because the Nine of Pentacles can be about that. Like, we want to make our life beautiful and abundant and believing in ourselves. But it's also practical too, because we take the practical steps to get there, to build this life. We don't just stay stuck in fantasy land. So it's, again, this beautiful hope, this beautiful awareness of like, I want to work on myself, I want to develop, but then there's these competing energies that need to get resolved. So I see a big call from Spirit to say we need to take some time out, really meditate, really go inwards, get out of the mental space, and then drop into the body, really embody this energy. And then that way we can start making more substantial moves. With this Justice card, which is funny, again, we were talking about the Angel of Death being somebody who is kind of like the Justice. Again, with they have the little skeleton face and they have a scythe, the scales of balance, and it's all about, we're clearing this out. This has to stop. They might cause disruptions or things coming to light that you're like, oh, this is causing chaos in my life. But it's because it's time. You weren't making those choices. You weren't making those decisions. So things are going to kind of start blowing up in your face about it. And this could be like something in the family I'm talking about. If that's something you've confronted, I think you would know. But with the World card, it's all about completing a cycle. It's time to close out this cycle that's been perpetuating. Especially we see these, like, look at these faces. It's like all these different colors, all these different lives. It's like having the grit, self-awareness, and the courage to make different decisions and go out there, put ourselves out there, and say yes to opportunities. And having awareness to know that you are given an opportunity, that you don't have to stay stuck in like these limiting patterns. Like, if you feel that spark, if you feel the pull, you feel that hope, you're daydreaming about it, you need to look at that and say, what is calling me? Where am I meant to be going here? And then working with that energy of the Pentacles, like, we are in the physical realm. We do need to make the practical steps, the practical application to it. Lean on your resources, lean on your community to help you get there. But yeah, if this might be a big theme coming up, something, it's like karmic energy, just like it's time to sever the ties. We are cutting the cords and we are getting out of this and moving into a new cycle. It's time to end this cycle. It no longer needs to stagnate anymore. It's like you're not bearing any fruit off of this dead vine, is the kind of feeling I'm getting. And then I wanted to grab some of these cards. One fell out and it says New World. So first of all, this is a relationship deck, but I wanted to use it in this reading because I liked the examples they gave, the descriptions. I felt like it was very informative, and it could honestly apply to like any connection, family, friends, coworkers, relationships. So you take it how it would apply to your situation. So it says, a new world, a new connection will invite you into a new world where things may feel a bit forlorn. Know that this will expand your way of looking at life and offer a new world to explore. You may meet a partner who has a very different experience than you, or you may be embarking on having children. A new world is at your doorstep, and it's time to dip your toe in the water and explore. Yeah, it's like time to get out of this energy and put yourself out there and explore those new options, if that's something you are feeling called to. Divine masculine. Okay, so this may be talking about your masculine energy, which is all about going out there. The masculine energy, when we're talking in spiritual terms, it's like putting ourselves out there, being go-getter. We are motivated by our desires and what we are willing to face. So it says, it's said that the right half of your body represents the masculine side. Someone is healing their wounded masculine aspects, gaining power in protection, providing for the self stability and strength. Both the feminine and masculine energies must be balanced in order to be in your full power. So again, to be in the Nine of Pentacles energy is like, I think of a masculine energy kind of coming into balance, because it's like we're claiming our self-worth. We're saying, I'm worthy of this. I deserve this. I respect myself enough to leave a situation when it's time. And I respect that person enough too. Or a business or whatever idea. I feel like we're just holding on to something because we had hope for it, but our soul knows it's like, oh, it's time. And then this says, oh, dig deep. Are you missing information? There is something that needs to be revealed in order to bring new perspective. You may have to be patient and focus on life-affirming situations, people, places, or things, as you allow the universe to bring you the information that you require to move forward in a certain situation. Be patient and go with the flow of the universe. Release resistance. We were just talking about how earlier in this half of the reading, how resistance is playing a big role in causing this tension and not just going with the flow of life and getting out of our own heads, getting out of our own way. So and that's kind of like the feminine side of it, where it's that flow of like, I trust life. I trust the universe. Yes, I'm going to do my due diligence and my divinity of my masculine energy by making sure I reach out, I get information, the resources. But at a certain point, you let go and you just let the universe show you, let it unfold for you. Let's see. I want to get some guidance on this for you. Okay, let me clean this up a little bit. So, I pulled some cards already, and then I'm going to do a few on the camera, so we'll have a little variety. First, we have the Council, which is so interesting. This feels like justice energy. You have a powerful spiritual team. I think in this life, it was like, we're gonna have them move some things in this life, shake things up, and you're gonna need support for this, because it's like, again, accumulating over lifetimes from other family members, this family line, and other experiences are attracting into your life to have you face this trigger, have you face these shadows. We have the giveaway. So I see a really beautiful gift out of this coming for you if you just lean into it, if you just let the grip go and just saying like, I'm gonna let go and we'll see where this happens. You just jump in the water. They have a really beautiful gift lined up. Then you have Here and Now. Look at this door, by the way. It's like the door we had at the beginning of the reading. Building blocks came out in reverse. So let's see. I want to read real quick for the so first of all, the Here and Now talks about kind of just being present. That's going to be your advice. Just be right here. Don't worry about what's life going to look like in 5 years. I mean, it's great to plan and strategize a bit. However, you also have to factor in, you don't know how life is going to show up for you. Let it be these guys. Let it go to the higher power, to higher intelligence. There's a larger force at work that's been guiding you through all of these moments in life. Don't give your ego that much credit that you've created this. Just do your due diligence, do the things, submit the things, whatever you have to do. That's all you got to do. Do what you got to do. but then let it go. Don't get too lost. And this is where we need to be. This is where I need to go. Things will unfold is like the biggest lesson out of this. But the building blocks talks about the cracks in the foundation. And I wanted to read a little bit because I think this words it well. Now is the time to address the cracks in the foundations of your life. Perhaps your values have changed and it's time to strengthen your convictions. Let go of the things that no longer serve the vision you have for your life. For perhaps you chose to ignore the signs that a situation or agreement you have entered into is not right for you. Remove the rotten pieces and reinforce your core moral strength and integrity. Now is the time for rigorous honesty. You're called to renovate and upgrade your consciousness. You'll be so happy. Spirit has a spectacular blueprint for your life, far beyond your imagination. Don't be afraid to replace what's not solid. So yeah, I think, again, it's like that giveaway gift that they have. They've got something really lined up beautiful for you. Maybe that's the hope. Maybe you felt that, but just too scared to leave a nest. And wherever in your life this may show up, whether it's career, in maybe you're moving, or relationship, abundance. So yeah, they definitely have. And I think creating an abundant mindset is going to be so important. Healing energy. Okay, this is deeply this is that dig deep. This is where you are birthing a new consciousness, a new way of thinking, new thinking patterns, new behaviors. But I feel like with this dark energy here, like it's all dark, it's black. It's like it's the treasure you seek is hidden in the depths of where you're not looking, of what you're not addressing. And once you face those parts of yourself, have a more open approach and willingness to, you're going to uncover so much abundance. And it's like, you'll be amazed how the flow of your life will come back into balance, where it won't be so crazy hard. It's not going to be past, present, and future. Look, we're just like this past, present, and future. Yeah, these are going to heal different timelines for you too, is what I'm seeing out of this. Grounding. So maybe you just get overwhelmed. This is going to be really great. Looking up grounding techniques, how to be in your body, not in your mental body. Drop into your body. Imagine there's tree roots growing through your feet into the ground, sending that energy into the ground, having that energy come right back up through the spine. There's a lot of great grounding practices. So if you are someone who feels very overwhelmed, I think that's going to be a great useful tool for you. And then last for this section, let's see, from the self-forgiveness deck. I forgive myself for thinking I need proof I have chosen correctly before I am allowed to enjoy what I have. I choose to believe that what is happening now is what should be happening, and I align with my deepest desires when I enjoy what is already mine. Yeah, what's coming to you, the things that you fantasize about, that you desire, your soul desires, it's yours, sweetheart. It is yours. But you have to face, you don't have to, but you are strongly supported, strongly loved, and encouraged. And I think you'll be surprised how things will show up for you when they have the courage to start making those steps in the direction of the life that you want, instead of staying stuck in old patterns and the status quo of the life that's not fulfilling. So, all right. So lastly, we're going to wrap this up, but next we're going to go into what spiritual strengths that your ancestors passed on to you. What were the ancestral gifts that they have, that you've incarnated with, and that your family line had passed into you, and then how you're going to grow that in this life. Oh my God, you are incredible. Look at this. You have the unicorn, literally a freaking unicorn. It was out of an animal deck, and you got the unicorn card. And the animal, I need to really look into that. I think in this life you are being reminded about how to get in touch with that pure passion, the pure fire on your soul. You literally got the fire guardian. You might have fire elements in your birth chart, whether you're a fire sign. So that could be Sagittarius, Aries, Leo. If not, it just could also just be that you have a fire in you that is meant to be unleashed, especially with this animal card. It's like this potency that is ready to be released out into the world, unleashed into the world. I wouldn't be surprised with all the experiences that you were having, if you were getting a lot of like psychic visions, because this has the pineal gland, embrace your intuitive vision. So it could be opening up your connection to the spiritual realm, and the signs that you get, the dreams that you get, the visions that you get. So because we're seeing it all concentrating, it's like this coming in from different streams, different communication systems of other beings communicating with you. You might have a connection to Egypt, is possible, or maybe you had a lifetime there, and that could be bringing in soul gifts from that time period. Yeah, very strong connection. And I think that's going to aid you in your gifts and what you bring into this world, because you have creative energy over here. This resides in the sacral chakra. Again, all the element of fire. And the solar plexus, which is the sun energy. So again, just fiery energy. You're so creative. You're a creative person. And having that belief in yourself and the creative tasks that you are capable of, that you need to, that are ready to be birthed through you. This is why I feel like you're getting pushed by life, pushed by it, because it's like the world needs this. People need this. They need to feel inspired by this kind of energy that you bring to the table. It says with infinite possibility, you are the sovereign of the seen and unseen worlds. The magic of love surrounds you. Beauty transforms you. Listen to the spirits of light. Abandon the darkness. Go beyond the ordinary and become the legendary. Yeah, your energy feels legendary. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if you're like become a figure in your community that people really hold high regard, a lot of respect. But I think it's because you go through these challenges that really refined and shaped you. So it's like your value, I mean, it doesn't come from other people, right? Like, you've learned to develop it yourself. And so that's been one of your strongest soul gifts that your ancestors brought with you. The resilience that they have gone through. Empowering relationships. Yeah, you might be like a motivator. I was thinking with the star card earlier too, you might be somebody that people feel like guided towards, like the whether it be like counselor energy, therapy energy, or just a strong guide that people look up to. So you kind of have a star-like energy, star-like quality about you, and no kidding, because you have the unicorn. And not to obviously, when I say all this, it's not to just bump up your ego. It's nice to hear that, but I think taking that time to know that you put in the work, and that you are putting in the work to get there, and you've put in that work in other lifetimes to get there. Oh, and the back of the deck for this also said creative self-expression. So once again, strong creativity. Now I have to show you the back of the decks of the other cards, because I thought this was so on the nose, because you got abundance. Literally, again, you had another card about abundance. So there's a lot of gifts waiting for you. It's like it's like life's pushing you. It's like you're on the edge of the cliff and you're like, keep thinking, should I do it? Should I not? Should I not? And life's like, do it, because it's gonna put you on a timeline that has all this abundance waiting for you. The things that you've desired and dreamed of, it's finally gonna happen, but you're gonna have to make some hard decisions or face some truths that you kept running away from. And it's time to look at those. So I see with this forgiveness, this release dysfunctional energy. I just want to read real quick this part, because I think this might talk about where this energy comes from in the family. And the act of forgiveness is you let go of the heavy chains of victimhood, recognizing that every soul who graces your life is part of your own soul's orchestration. You are the divine composer. Dig deep into your personal narrative, exploring and feeling the emotions related to the experiences you need to forgive. It's essential to feel these emotions because healing truly emerges from the courageous act of feeling. So no more burying this. This is like time to, you're going to be fine. You're so going to be, look at this. You're going to be well off. Once you've acknowledged these feelings, work to separate them from the stories, differentiating the emotional reactions from the factual events. This process can collapse the victim narrative, allowing you to view life from a higher perspective. And in this state of expanded consciousness, you can see divine perfection in the sequence of events and experiences that shaped your life. So yeah, I feel like your purpose is being revealed through this process, and a life that's so much beautiful that's waiting you. You have the hermit energy, retreat and recharge. Again, with this retreat energy, time to meditate, contemplate on sorting through that. And lastly, we have good luck. I thought that was cute. Auspicious wishes granted, blessings. Stone of destiny, life path, ambition, passion. Yeah, this life, you are meant to wake out from your slumber, unleash the animal within. And find your center. Stay true to you. Call it to you. Yeah, this process is all about aligning with your authenticity. It's no longer trying to please everybody or, well, this is what I should be doing. This is what society expects out of me. You're going to be miserable if you operate from that program. This is bringing you back to finding out who you truly are. And so a lot of these tower moments happened so that way you can come back to self. And with this spiral, it's like the labyrinth again. It's guiding us back to our center. And this is the true treasure that's going to be the true stability in your life, no matter what life throws at you. Whoops. Sorry. All right. Well, pile 3, that was a strong reading for you. I hope you liked it. I hope that resonated for some of you. And yeah, thank you so much. Thank you to your ancestors for coming through and allowing me to channel these messages. So anyways, I will see you at the next reading. Bye. Take care.